Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Sanctuary. We are back. It is Fantasy Game Day time. I'm going to walk you through 10 of the best plays for this week's Fantasy Game Day app slate. I'm going to talk you through the best values, the high price players to go about, and of course, talk about that all important captain pick. If you haven't checked out Fantasy Game Day, it's a brand new app only for UK participants. It is daily fantasy with a twist. You get a captain pick. It is higher budget, so you can fill your lineup full of studs. And if you want to have a chance to earn even more money, you can use our code TFS23. When you deposit, when you submit your first lineup, you will then get a free second entry, chance to double those winnings. Let's dive into the slate of action. So, back for the captain pick. Another week, another chance to get Amon-Ra St. Brown in your lineup. Slightly down week last week, but still over 10 fantasy points. He's had 6 top 12 weeks. He's averaging over 20 points a game. It's a really interesting matchup with the Bears. I think this has got sneaky shootout potential. Yes, it's only a 40 over and under, but that Lions defense has looked pretty woeful. We know that the Bears don't have an elite defense. St. Brown isn't going to be going against the Bears' best corner because he doesn't particularly travel into the slot, which is where we know St. Brown lines up a lot of the time. It's £6,500. I think he's a really cheap, affordable captain option if you're looking to save some bank and spend up elsewhere. But equally, if you're looking to go expensive at the captain pick, you've got to be getting this guy in as a wide receiver selection. The expensive option, Christian McCaffrey, it feels like if you're just looking for pure points, he's the way to go. If you're looking for value, it's pretty tough for him to expect a world where he's returning on that investment. 8,700 for him to return 3 times that price. We're talking a significant amount of picks. We're talking sort of 25, 26 points. That feels like he's kind of ceiling-ish. So I don't know if you're going to get 3.5, 4 times the value, which is what we're ideally looking for to bring home some money. But if you're looking for 20, 25 points, he's had 7 top 5 weeks. If he does have a blow up in what could be a really interesting matchup against Seattle, high over under, it could be that he's a slate breaker. It is a little bit harder to fit a lineup around him, but if you're going to pay up at one position, why not make it your captain? QBs. Now, there's some intriguing options. I quite like Brock Purdy this week. I quite like maybe CJ Stroud, but I think you can get around it by paying down the position. Jake Browning, we saw what he did on Monday night, 26.7 points. He's got an interesting matchup against the Colts with, inexperienced, young secondary, big, physical, but not technically that strong. I do think that Jamar Chase could eat. Maybe you can go and save some money, get Jake Brown into that lineup. 40.5 over under. I feel like that's slightly low. I think this could be an interesting matchup. But my favorite quarterback pick this week, Russell Wilson, £5,500. Really intriguing matchup with the Chargers. He's averaging 15.8 points per game, but actually he's been on a little bit of a nice streak. It's safe. It's solid. There's not much risk here. 16 points and you're getting that 3 times the value. I think he's a really nice play here. Also, a couple of decent stacking options. You can go and, add him to someone like Cortland Sutton, and it helps to round out the rest of that roster. At the running back position, we're going back to the well with Chuba Hubbard. He hit in a massive way last week after I called him out. He's still priced down at 3,300. I'm expecting him to get the bulk of the work yet again. We've seen that change in the scheme. Tom talked about it on Thursday night's preview show. They've gone more kind of man gap principles rather than zone that they were running early in the year, and it's fitted. Yes, it's a challenging matchup at 37.5 over under. A lot of that is because you're not expecting the Panthers to put up points, but 1 touchdown and he's pretty much returned on the investment. I think Chuba Hubbard is an absolute slate breaker and definitely an enabler that you need to be getting in most of those lineups. And then the guy that I think is the best value in terms of what I'm projecting, that points versus cost, Isiah Pacheco, 4,500. I also think he's going to be fairly low owned this week because he's not banged up. He's not practiced Wednesday, Thursday. I'm expecting him to still play. I'm expecting him to get a lot of work against this Buffalo secondary, which the Buffalo defense really struggles against split zone blocking scheme, which is what the Chiefs run an awful lot of. High over under. We know Pacheco is going to get the lion's share of the work. As you can see, 67% opportunity share. I think he is a potential to produce kind of 3, probably 4 times the cost. If he's putting up 18, 19, 20 points, that's 4 times his price. That can bring you into the cash alone. So, yeah, really excited about Pacheco this week. At the wide receiver positions, I've got Michael Pittman. He's just a plug and play. I can't believe he is so cheap every single week on Fantasy Game Day. And I can't get away from him every single week. 9 top 24 finishes, averaging over 16.5 points per game. I talked about that interesting matchup, Cincy, Indy. I think there's some points going to be scored there. 4,700. He's a nice, safe, solid player that you're going to get production from. You don't have to pay up for, and he's also got the ceiling as well. And then if you're looking to go cheap, a key enabler, Zay Jones, priced bottom of the wide receiver pool at £2,300. Yes, there's probably no Trevor Lawrence. Yes, it's a disgusting matchup against the Browns, but he catches a touchdown. He returns his cost immediately. I think 7-8 points, that's all you need. And he's already made your lineup so much better because he's enabled you to go and spend up for studs. So at 2,300, I'm finding myself entering him into that lineup just because it helps me round out the rest of that roster. And then at the tight end position, Brevin Jordan, if Dalton Schultz doesn't go, we know the Jets are horrendous against tight ends. It's the place they're weakest. He put up 9.4 points last week, exactly the same as Zay Jones. If he can return 7-8 points, he's tripling up his price. He could be a slate breaker as long as Dalton Schultz is out. If Dalton Schultz is playing, I'm not going anywhere near Brevin Jordan. And then Dalton Kincaid, really nice matchup, that Kansas City Buffalo. I think he's still priced down, a lot cheaper than the elite tight ends, your Kelce's, your Hawkinsons, even your Sam Laportas. I'm intrigued to see how the Bills potentially use him. Obviously, we talked about that 11.5 personnel versus the 12. They've been running a lot of 11 recently with Dawson Knox out. Dawson Knox is potentially back this week. Is that going to eat into Kincaid's snap share? Is that going to eat into his target routes? That could potentially mean his ownership is down. I think at the tight end position, that mid price is where I tend to find myself playing. I don't like paying up for the elite ones. So actually Kincaid as a mid price tight end could easily return on that investment. Is there somebody that you think I've massively missed? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget, if you want to have a go at Fantasy Game Day, use that code TFS23 and you can get a chance to get that second free entry. And hopefully you can bring home some bacon, and let us know if you do. Let us know which players help get you there. Best of luck, and we'll catch you next week.